Jesus said, "Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, to be fair, there were some good scribes and Pharisees, but the ones that Jesus is talking about are the ones who live up to the external law, things that you can see. I don't do those things which the law tells me not to do, and you can see that. Good. But it's more than that. The law is more than that. Because Jesus says, yeah, that's good, but there's much more than that. Because what matters beyond the external compliance is the fulfillment from within, the inner life, our intentions, what's going on inside. That is the fulfillment of the law. When we live from the heart, from the Spirit. And he gives 3 examples. The first one is, he says, you shall not kill. Very good. We see what murder does, killing does. We can look at Syria or other Mideast countries or other places where there's strife and life seems to be cheap and people are killing and it's chaos. Life's falling apart. But we don't have to go that far. We can just read the paper or watch the news and find out who's been murdered recently. And so it's good to say, you shall not kill. Very good. But Jesus says there's more than that. He said, don't even live in anger with your brother or sister. Some people take that to say, well, every time I'm angry, it's sinful. Well, anger in and of itself is not a sin. Jesus got angry, and we believe he never sinned. So there's something else about anger, and that is that we live in it and we feed it. And we think, okay, I'm angry, I'm just going to wait for the chance to blow up at somebody else. I'm just going to let loose and pop a cork because I'm angry. And I think we call that the walking around with a chip on your shoulder. Want to use that phrase? That's what that means. So we kind of let that anger fester within us. And that's what's wrong. It's the attitude, the inner part of the inner life. And in the part of the gospel we didn't read says, Jesus says, well, instead of that, go out and make some reconciliation with one that you are a person that you are angry with, or maybe someone that's angry with you. Work towards forgiveness or asking for forgiveness. Don't let that anger fester because it only gets worse and ruins your life and other people's lives. And on top of that, we all know that we can kill in other ways than just killing the body. We can kill somebody by our anger, can't we? By the things that we say, the attitude that we have, the body language that we use, it just comes across as offensive and harmful. That's what Jesus is talking about here. The second thing is, he says, you shall not commit adultery. Very important. Because when adultery is committed, you violated the relationship and kind of shaken the foundations of the relationship. And it takes something to build that back up again. But even more than that, he says, whoever lusts after someone in their heart, they've already committed adultery with them. It's the attitude, the inner life, the inner perspective, which can lead to the acting of it out. And the problem with that is that when we lust after someone else, it's like that person's there for my pleasure. And we treat that person as an object and as a thing. And that's what's going on, at least part of what's going on, in the pornography some people get addicted to. It's a thing. It's out there instead of a person. Take them out of context and they're just there for me. And as we're talking about it, why don't we expand that to any time that we use somebody else? We use them. What can I get out of you? And then we discard them. That's all I'm concerned about. Without any respect for who they are, their own feelings, their own life, their own relationships, as much respect as we would hope we had for ourselves. What's the inner attitude? Jesus says, respect one another. Don't cross those lines. And the third example he gives, he says, do not take a false oath. Tell the truth. And we know that if we take a false oath, we can, sometimes the things we say about other people, I swear it's true, can ruin their life. And if people catch us lying time and time and time again, are they going to trust us? I don't think so. So trust crumbles away. But instead, Jesus says, not only don't take a false oath, but simply tell the truth. Say yes when you mean yes, and no when you mean no. Tell the truth as we go through life. And I'll give a simplistic example first. The simplistic example is that somebody's talking to you and you say, do you know what I mean? And we go, sure, yeah, okay. And they really don't. In fact, there's sometimes I'm talking with a person and I'll say, do you know what I mean? And the look on their face tells me no, but they say yes. And I say, okay, what did I say? And much of the time, their body language was true. They didn't get it. So I try to explain it in a different way. But it's telling the truth as we are with one another. Or it can be something like this. Someone's kind of holding court, and speaking their mind and telling you what they want. And they say, so are you comfortable with that? We might say, oh, sure, yeah, okay. Well, what's wrong with saying, I'm really not. I'm not comfortable with that. And I'll tell you why. Don't have to get in a big fight, but I'm not. It doesn't sound right, and it doesn't sound true to me. Say yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no. Tell the truth. In all of this, we can kind of sum it up by what it says in that first reading where it says, if you choose, you can live out the commandments, and they will save you. Not just living out the letter of the law, but fulfilling the law. And that's what Jesus did. He came to fulfill the law. Take the externals, which are important, and yet take what it means. So it's a difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. How do we live out the spirit of the law, which is what God wants us to live, instead of just going through the motions? I do what I'm supposed to do. I can just check it off on my list here. Let me ask you, would you be comfortable, would you be satisfied in a relationship with somebody who just did what they're supposed to do? They just went through the motions without any heart in it? Would you? Well, I wouldn't. And neither is God. In that second reading we heard, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, what God has prepared for those who love him. Love comes from the heart. And he wants us to live from the heart, with him and with others. So as we listen to these readings today, Jesus says, fulfill the commandments. Live them from the heart, from our inner life, and they will save us.